1,000. Wow, I feel like joining the fire brigade now.
There was just, for that noise then, you viewers out there, that was a fire truck with a whole bunch of kids. And so it was like a charity that the fire department's doing for some kids, maybe the Starlight Foundation or one of those charities. It was a really nice thing. So that's what interrupted Warren's chat then.
Yeah. And so property rights are the basis of our society. That the police can't just walk in your house and there's warrants and there's.
But what can we do, Warren? As Australians,
for us,
what the hell do we do?
We have to join with our farmers.
Yeah.
We have to support them, we have to really support them because they're living in stress. I've had phone calls and conversations with a number of people. I've listened to the radio and that when farmers are ringing up. People in the city have got to understand that farmers are terrified that they're losing their rights of their land.
So who do we lobby?
We've got to tell our local politicians in our suburban electorates that, hey, listen to the farmers.
Yeah.
Fix it. Fix what is going on, because if it wasn't for the farmers, we'd be all starving in this country, or we'd be getting everything from overseas and spending a fortune on our stuff.
Talking about spending a fortune, we've got this net zero policy, which I think every country in the world has proven is impossible.
Yeah.
And our contribution to pollution is apparently 0.001% of the world.
Yeah.
Which is basically not even a squirrel's fart.
That's it.
Seriously, do we really need to take up thousands and thousands of tens of thousands of acres of, with those solar panels and all that kind of stuff? Why can't we use our natural resources?
It's worse than that, we're hypocrites. Because what we're doing, you go to coal, you look at coal. They were trying to close down coal in Australia, and you've taken land off the farmers to set up all these wind farms and solar panels and everything like that. At the same time, we're exporting. Newcastle is the largest coal exporter in the world, the city of Newcastle. So we're sending all this coal overseas to China to build hundreds of power stations, hundreds of coal-fired power stations, and so we're thinking that the politicians are telling us we could have like an invisible protection over Australia where we're not affected by global climate.
Yeah.
It is just nonsense.
Tell me this just quickly. When you were a copper, could you enter someone's property in their home without some sort of notification or
It depends. I mean, if it was a serious imminent breach of the peace, where I thought someone.
Yeah, but you couldn't walk onto someone's property as a cop.
Well, hang on. You can walk on anyone's property as long as you're there for a lawful reason. You want to knock on the door. You might want to speak to them. If they tell you to leave, you have to leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why can't a farmer?
So your front door, your front gate. Is an invitation for you to come in and lawfully ask for whatever it is you want to ask. But if the owner of that property tells you to leave,
well, why can't a farmer do that? When these people turn up at their front gate and say, we're coming on to lay some wire.
Because you've got governments that tell you that we have changed the legislation so that we can force you.
No, we got to stop that.
We can force ourselves onto your land and take your land and do what we want to do with your land.
That's wrong, Warren.
That is dreadfully wrong, and that's why I want to. We got to be the voice for the farmers out there, because we've got 5 million people in Sydney here. There's what a million people out in the farms out there, less than that. And so we've got to be their voice, and we've got to tell our local members, hey, when these things come up in Parliament, or better still, why don't you get up there and start reversing some of this legislation to protect the rights of our farming community.
Let me ask you this, you've known both sides of politics. The calibre of politician. Now,
you're going to get me in trouble here, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to get myself in trouble because you know what I've done and where I've come from. But the calibre of politician, there are people in politics who should never have ever been in politics. People who are so self-serving that when they leave politics, they go straight into a cushy job.
Yeah.
In other words, they've gone into politics promising everything and delivering nothing.
Yes.
And at the end of that whole exercise, go into a cushy job. You got to ask yourself, how do we choose the right people to go into politics?
Well, who's the politicians at the moment fighting for the farmers? Who are they? Can you name?
That's right. That. Look, and you're 100% right. The part I laughed about, you're going to get me in trouble. Well, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, okay? We've got a cohort of people going into politics for two reasons only. There are other people, and I shouldn't paint them all with the same brush, there are other people going into politics who are decent, really good people, who are really fighting for their constituents and fighting for the Australian public or the Victorian public or the New South Wales public. Right? But there is a cohort of people who have hijacked the system at the moment. They're just monetising their position. They get elected, they get in there into powerful positions, and they're able to influence, where the legislations go, where the regulations go, and changing laws, everything that suit their favour. Look, I was listening to commentary coming out of the Page Institute, the Research Institute there, where they've come across looking at where all this money's going in regard to renewable energy and who's getting it, and we're talking about billions of dollars. And you're talking about how certain groups have been set up to be pushing these agendas. And you notice that, just look where some of these politicians who leave Parliament, where they end up, who they're working for, and what lobby groups they're going into. So you've got to start raising serious questions about these people.
And how do we fight that, Warren? I mean, ICAC's not strong enough, is it, to be able to look into that type of suspicious activity?
Yeah, that's right.
Because they only act on complaints. But there's no intelligence agency looking at the suspicious actions of politicians and who they're associated with and who and what they're doing, that may contravene the interests of Australia.
Betty, Warren, that's a topic for another day. I know our pal Jack is going to go crazy trying to edit this up. So stay with us, because Jack's going to edit all this up. So good topic for another day. I hope you've joined us another day.
I'd love to join you.
It's been a
great
joy
to catch up with you.
Good on you,
Great
mate.
to catch up with you too. Good.
Please watch us, follow us, support us, and what else are they going to do, Vinny?
They got to
Like us.
like.
Thank you.